past 12 months, the municipal services worked behind the scenes to ensure there was no disruption to our customer services. We were able to provide, during the COVID-19 pandemic, services to our customers that included telephone and online connect and disconnect services, and we're real happy about that. So with the assistance of our building maintenance team, we were able to be one of the first city buildings open to provide direct customer services to our residents through the installation of COVID-19 safety protocol measures. We continue to implement efficiencies with the outsourcing of our utility bills, remote services for our employees, and leveraging technology for the implementation of a new timekeeping system and building access. And finally, we were able to secure a very favorable credit rating for the city that allowed us to develop a team to develop a finance package for funding the city's first police facility.
I'm Chris Fredrickson, the Public Works Director for the City of Idaho Falls. I have the distinct pleasure of working with 120 of the finest employees that make up this department. This past year, as our community dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic, Public Works employees, the majority of which are deemed essential workers, found innovative ways to ensure that city services continued. Our engineering group designed and constructed approximately 24 projects worth nearly $8 million. These projects included the 12th Street Bridge replacement, installation of 3 pedestrian hybrid beacons that will provide safer pedestrian crossings of our increasingly busy roadways. They included innovative pavement maintenance projects that will save the city money over the course of our pavement's life cycle. Other projects included replacing aging water and sewer lines and making improvements at our wastewater treatment plant and our municipal wells. Our GIS division provided essential mapping to help inform the public and track our city's utility assets. Our sanitation division drivers logged nearly 250,000 miles while hauling 400,000 cubic yards of refuse to the Bonneville County Transfer Station and nearly 700 tons to recyclers. Early last year, our street division dealt with unprecedented snow accumulation, keeping our roadways open. They also finished the construction of a missing piece of Saturn Avenue, thereby providing better multimodal access to properties in between Broadway and Pancari Drive. Our water division ensured that patrons had access to nearly 8.5 billion gallons of water, and our wastewater division collected and treated over 3.5 billion gallons of wastewater before returning it to the Snake River to be used for other beneficial uses downstream. All of this happened while our nation struggled with the pandemic. These Public Works employees proudly served the citizens of Idaho Falls, ensuring that essential services were maintained. I applaud their efforts in keeping our city moving.
This year, the City Attorney's Office was involved in some things that were a little bit different. We worked on COVID because there were ever-changing regulations and reactions to that affected people in the city, affected the way we do public meetings and access to public records and public meetings and to the elected officials. So that was an interesting thing for us and a challenge for an attorney, and interesting for the way things were done by the government. In addition, we worked on the financing for the Law Enforcement Center and put together a certificates of participation package that was successful, that will allow us to have a police department after many years that's unified and consolidated. We also worked on prosecution services, which changed because access to the courts and the way we did our pretrial hearings was not the same as it normally has been. There's some delay in some of our litigation. We were able to participate in the purchase of an extension of property north of our airport, which supports our regional airport efforts. And also, there is a really wide range of legal issues that we get to be interested in and involved in, and we try to give as good legal advice as we possibly can so that the citizens are protected in their rights and the government functions in a way that's predictable.
2020 started out as a great year in the library. We had our big blocks that kids really enjoy playing with. We had a new program we were going to introduce. It's a kindergarten preparation class for kids to prepare so they kind of know what kindergarten's going on. We got that all ready to go, and then COVID hit. And as everybody knows, COVID was just wonderful. It shut the library down for 6 weeks. We were closed all of April. We opened again in May. It introduced all sorts of wonderful things, masks, social distancing. Due to COVID and the restrictions we're under, we did lay off 10% of our full-time staff, about half of our part-time staff. We did summer reading a new way. It was totally virtual, which was not as great as before, but we made do. The year continued to go on. We continued to be open. We did a lot virtual. We did curbside pickup. We're currently open for everybody to come in. We do request that people wear masks and practice social distancing. And we have a lot of new stuff going on. Extreme Book Nerd just started. So we're really excited to do that again this year. And we look forward to COVID being over and being back to business as usual.
All right, so 2020 was a really unique year for the Idaho Falls Police Department. You know, everyone had a different experience through 2020. When the pandemic hit, we couldn't shut down. So we were a full-service police department throughout the entire year, including when we had almost a third of our staff quarantined because they had been exposed to the virus. So that was something that was really unique. Another thing about 2020, you saw a large national conversation on policing. We saw riots around the country, reform-minded people all over the country. And we spent a long time this year talking with all sorts of community groups and talking to people that care about policing and why policing is important. And there were a lot of ideas that people brought up. Most of those ideas the police department already implemented years before, but it was a good conversation. One of the things that was really neat about Idaho Falls is during this big national conversation, the Idaho Falls police officers couldn't go to lunch, couldn't go to a store to get a soda or get a drink without a good citizen of Idaho Falls wanting to pay for their soda or pay for their lunch. That was happening every day. They couldn't go more than just a few hours without someone stopping them to say, thank you for what you do. One of the challenges we're looking at this year and going into the future is recruiting. We continue to have a real difficult time to find people that want to go into law enforcement. We have a real difficult time filling all of our vacancies, and so that's one of our great challenges, and we'll be working on that diligently in this next year. And one of our great successes this year is that the City Council approved the funding for our new police facility, and so that's being developed and planned through an architect. It's been 3 decades that people have been talking about, looking at, trying to get this thing done. So after 3 decades of work, it's really excited that got done this year. And so a difficult year for the police department, a challenging year for the police department, a great year for the police department, and we look forward to the future.
As with other city functions, the pandemic of 2020 brought to the HR department a lot of interesting twists and turns. Fortunately, with a professional and innovative staff, we were able to get through that successfully. In March, when the pandemic hit, we were faced with interpreting and administering new sick leave and family medical leave laws, working arrangements from home, questions regarding quarantines, and other working arrangements. Then in April, we had to cancel some leadership training we had through the Arbinger Institute. In August, a busy month in HR, we normally have open enrollment with employee meetings. We had to change that and do all of that online. In September, we were able to reschedule the Arbinger leadership training online, which was also a great success. If you'd come to the HR department in December, you would have seen socially distanced employees getting their pictures taken for new ID badges for all employees. Besides the things I've mentioned, the normal work of HR was carried out effectively, including hiring, terminations, disciplinary issues, and so on.
At Idaho Falls Power and Idaho Falls Fiber, 2020 was certainly a busy year. We focused a lot on improving our infrastructure, both existing infrastructure, replacing aging infrastructure, and looking at our growth for in the future, especially on the Idaho Falls Fiber side. But first, with Idaho Falls Power, we built extensive infrastructure over in the Snake River Landing area, which will allow us to move forward with a connection of event center that's coming in, along with the hotels and other businesses that are growing out in that area. So we're excited to be staged up, ready for the future out there. And then also a lot of the summer is really focused on building out the fiber optic network. But the key thing that we did with the fiber optic network build was also taking advantage to replace aging electric infrastructure. So we replaced over 20,000 feet of direct bury electric infrastructure. And these were areas where people were experiencing reliability issues. It was 40-year-old conductor. So we put conduit in the ground for electric and then also for fiber. So now those areas of town are enjoying being able to get connected to our fiber optic network. We also put in the ground 80,000 feet of conduit for the future to replace aging electrical once some of that other direct bury continues to go out. So, pivoting back to the fiber optic network, which continued to grow over the summer, we built 90 miles, yes, 90 miles of fiber optic cable this year. And with that, we also installed and built 12 fiber optic huts that will deliver the high-speed broadband to the various areas of the city. So continuing to grow.
The Idaho Falls Fire Department started 2020 in an exciting time. We were excited as I was coming into my first year as being chief. And March happened, and we all faced COVID. And in March, that changed the world of firefighting. We faced everything from COVID to wildfires this year, with many fires this year inside the city. We had many injuries, including some fatalities this year. We mourn with those families that lost loved ones this year. The wildfire season was a busy one. With 20 fires, 7 states, many firefighters going out to assist other state and federal and state agencies. We made the most of that season with increased revenue and offset. We are putting new radios now on every firefighter that was desperately needed. We placed new hardware into our engines to respond quicker and better tie to dispatch. As we ended the year, we brought in a new red fire engine for the first time in decades. We had been yellow before. We went back to our traditional red and brought in our new engine. As we see COVID still continuing on, we've created a point of distribution site so that we can assist with vaccines, making us a safer community. Those things that were challenges of 2020, we're excited for 2021 and the new challenges that we will face, but also the stronger, safer community, city, and department that will be.
So for community development services, I think like a lot of departments, a lot of businesses, there was just so much unexpected and wondering what world was going to be like when COVID-19 hit. When the year started off, before things really came unraveled with the virus, we were really set up for a big year of development. We knew a lot of projects were coming. And so when that hit, we were really worried. What was the community going to look like? How was our contracting community going to respond? And how would our city grow, or would it really slow down? And we expected, just based on everything we'd heard, that there would be a slowdown. So we started really digging into some key indicators for how our work would be. And surprisingly, we didn't slow down at all. In fact, 2020 for our department, both building division and planning division, was one of the busiest we've ever had. In planning in particular, we had more projects, more reviews, more work than we've ever had since we've been tracking these statistics. In community development services, we are just looking forward to things changing, getting back to normal, whatever that might mean. And then really just seeing what growth brings. This is an exciting time to live in Idaho Falls, to work in Idaho Falls, and we're really looking forward to the future.
It's been a challenging year at the airport this year, as it has for all aviation organizations. We finished out this year for passengers and operations at about 50% of the previous year of 2019. So that has been very challenging for our revenue and our increasing costs. So we met many challenges throughout the pandemic, but there has been some bright spots, if you can say, for 2020. We were able to start construction and expansion of the new terminal building. Once that's complete, we'll have doubled the size of our gates, going from 3 gates to 6, increase the size of the terminal holding spaces, and also increase the size and the efficiency of the TSA security screening areas. So it'll be very nice in the future. We're hoping as the project is complete, we'll plan on completing this project this summer. And at the same time, we're hoping that the pandemic and the economy will start recovering, and we'll be in a really good position to start attracting more airlines and a lot more service to serve the citizens of the region.
What a year 2020 was. From the great things that the Parks and Recreation Department did in our community to the trying times of the global pandemic, 2020 presented a myriad of challenges and opportunities for us in the Parks and Recreation Department. Through it all, though, not only did our department complete a Parks and Recreation comprehensive master plan, identifying community priorities and strategies to bring those priorities to fruition, but we kept our facilities open as much as possible. We created recreational opportunities for our community, facilitated safe and fun experiences for families, and did all that with a smile on our face, allowing the community to have a little bit of normalcy through a tough year. 2020 definitely kept us on our toes. The Recreation Division, the Parks and Cemeteries, golf courses, and the Idaho Falls Zoo dealt with ever-changing facility guidelines and staff expectations on a weekly or if not even a daily basis. We were understaffed and overwhelmed, but our staff stuck together. We do believe in the city's core value of one city, one team, so we helped fill in for each other wherever it was needed. Programs, education classes, summer camps, lessons, leagues, and special events were nearly non-existent in 2020. But our amazing staff found ways to adapt their positions and offerings in a way that kept participants safe, socially distanced, and engaged in recreational activities, all while being stewards of your tax dollars. To the citizens of Idaho Falls, thank you for your continued support for the Parks and Recreation Department. We truly appreciate you and look forward to seeing you in 2021.